Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be painting on two sets of Christmas bells. Now I found these bells on the clearance section a little bit after the Christmas season has ended, and seeing as Christmas has ended a long while ago, I thought they would be perfect for customizing. Since it's no longer the Christmas season, I don't have to stick to a Christmas design. Now these are just regular basic plastic bell decorations that you can find almost anywhere during the Christmas time, and I thought that they had a good surface and a good amount of space to do some interesting designs. And so after taking off all the tags and all the extra stuff, I got ready my sandpaper and sanded the surface of all of the bells. Now it is two sets of two bells, so that kind of means there's like 4 bells, but we'll get to that later on. First, with the sanding, it's important to always sand your surfaces to ensure that whatever material you're going to be using will adhere correctly. In my case, I am going to be using acrylic paint. But before we can get to the actual painting, I like putting a white base coat over all of the surface to ensure that my colors will be bright and vibrant. And so for this I'm using gesso. And for some reason the material of this plastic was like absorbing all of the gesso, so I needed to do 3 coats of gesso to create a nice white base coat. But as I was saying, there are 2 sets of 2 in each of these 2 bells, so in reality there are 4 bells, and that made it kind of hard when choosing a design, because with one set of 2, I didn't want the 2 bells that were connected together to have the same exact design or to just be one big design repeated on it. But I also didn't want it to do 2 completely different designs on the same set. And so while gessoing, I was racking my head to decide what I was going to paint on them. But now I'm finally ready, and I started sketching out my designs onto the 2 sets of bells. For the first set, I decided to draw a moon and a sun on each of the bells so that they would be similar with the sky theme and the sun and moon theme, but they would be different with their own different designs of night and day. And then for the second set of bells, I went with something a little more similar to each other. I decided to draw a mermaid in water and then a mermaid in human form on land. And so with the sketching phase complete, I started painting with the first set of bells with the sun and moon. And so to help with the contrasting look, I decided to do a half moon or a crescent moon instead of the full round moon. And to give some more interest to the moon side of things, I decided to add a blue base coat on the bottom and background of its bell before painting on a layer of black, in hopes that the blue underneath will show through and give some interest to the black sky, and so that it wouldn't look so dark. I actually did that technique with one of the face masks I painted a while back, and it worked really well. However, that was with fabric paint, and I wasn't sure it would work the same way with acrylic paint. And so for the sun, I just did a basic blue sky. And since I was thinking that the sun side of things were going to be a little too simple, I tried doing some blending work in the sun to make it not just a pure yellow sun, but that didn't give me so much success, and so I ended up just going over that with more yellow. And as it with most things that I paint, I am layering together all of the coats of paint to create a nice opaque color. And so at this point I was thinking that the sun side of the bells needed something, so I added 2 white stripes at the top of the bell, but I wasn't really sure that was a good idea, and so I kind of just avoided it and continued working with other parts of the bells and trying to ignore it to see if it would look better after everything else was finished. But in the end I decided it really wasn't matching with anything and just added some clouds instead. And then I also added some stars to the night side of the bells. And I also put my initials and the date on the bottom of the left side of the bells. And so now all that's left for these bells is to put the clear coat on them. However, I'm going to be waiting till after I finish the second set of bells. And so moving on to the second set of bells, in contrast to the first set, this time I'm actually going to be using the bells as a regular painting surface. I'm not really going to be paying attention to the form of the bells and just going to use it as a canvas. Unlike with the first set, I did try to use the color to go with the bells and try to make it look like they were bells that were decorated. Instead, for this one, I'm just going to decorate on top of the bells as if they were any other canvas. And so for the tail of the mermaid, I went with a dark blue and green color, which I also used for the mermaid's dress in the human form. I also kept the same purple color on both of the mermaid's forms. Her design is very simplistic. I didn't do any of the facial details. I didn't add eyes or mouth or anything really. It's more of a silhouette drawing of her. And that was mainly due to the little space that I had when doing these drawings. I had to do most of this bell off camera because of how small and how detailed her design was going to be. And even with using the smallest brushes I had, I struggled a lot with painting her. And for this set of bells, I used the same blue to be the blue sky on the land painting and on the sea painting. However, for the human form of the mermaid, I did put grass underneath her so it would be a little bit more obvious she's in land. And so once everything was done and I had a nice opaque color over everything, I started adding the details to both sides of the bells. I added some faraway clouds on the land form of the bell, and then I added some bubbles and some little rifts in the water on the sea part of the bell. And as with the last bell, I also put my initials and the date that I finished the bells on the bottom part of the bell. And this is how both of the bells look without any of the sealant or protectants. In this close-up shot, you can kind of see the dark blue underneath the black a lot better than when it's farther away. And lately I've been using lots of spray sealants and protectants, but this time, since it was such a small item, I decided to go ahead and use my matte and glossy Mod Podge to seal and protect both sides of the bells. And so just using my regular brushes, I'm brushing on the Mod Podge onto all of the surface of the two sets of bells. I start by giving both sets of the bells one layer of matte Mod Podge, and then once that was fully dried, I gave it another layer with the shiny Mod Podge. And so once that was completely dry, this is how the final bells came out. Overall, I'm really happy with the designs. I think I managed to keep them similar but not completely the same. They have nice contradicting designs on both sides of the bells. And the designs are somewhat simple, but I'm really happy with how all of them turned out. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you all also enjoyed how the bells came out. Thank you all so much for watching, and God bless you.